Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hotsport. The Premier League is now returning this weekend. Thank God for that. And we're not going to have to deal with an international break, I think, not until March. So now is the real thick part of the season. We're starting to get through the fixtures. It starts to get busy. We're late November, heading into December. And so this is kind of like, I think for me, the best part of watching football. Like you get club football now for the next 5 or so months. Strap yourselves in. We're playing week in, midweek games. Premier League, Champions League. You're gonna have Carabao Cup, FA Cup when the new year begins and rolls around. So lots and lots of games, and this is kind of where teams are going to begin to really start to hone in on their season. They're going to start to really see what these teams are about. The things gets tougher. The tests get harder. Not like you need to be able to rotate your squads a lot more. Teams probably with more squad depth are probably going to prevail. Teams who are, last the health tests. Like that's a big thing. But anyway, guys, I'm so pumped for the Premier League to be back. I am. And make sure you're hitting the like button on the video. Make sure you're subscribing. We are, as I mentioned last week, after the tiers, which was last weekend, I mentioned that we have now gone over 600 subs. So every like counts on the way to our next goal, which is 700 subs. But of course, obviously, we're going after that 1K target, which we hope to get. I would love to be at 1K before the end of the season at minimum, or maximum, but I don't know exactly amount of time. So this is going to be an interesting one. This is the segment that obviously has been missing for a couple of weeks now, but obviously we always have so much fun with it, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It's time for Under Pressure. Okay, guys, it's time for the Under Pressure segment. We've got an amazing list for you, one that I've really, really put a lot of thought into. Maybe there's some surprises along the way. It's not the general way that for some of these, that I like to, put teams or players under pressure or whatever. So you're going to start to see this list. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think about the video. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Let's go. The manager we have under pressure this week is Arne Slot. And yeah, I did this on my own. And I know I said, look, I would not expect Arne Slot to be under pressure the whole season, but not even I, the biggest Liverpool critic on YouTube, could have foreseen this. What is the what are the Premier League overall form for Liverpool overall? What? They lost 4 in a row, and then they won against Villa, and they lost to City. They've lost 5 of their last 6 Premier League matches, and I believe, that's crazy. Let's just say they've won in 1 in 6. And I listened to Hassam speaking, and obviously, Hassam is, similar to me in terms of the way he supports Liverpool. He's really going to have his support. He said, he's slotted in. But one thing he pointed out to me, which is an interesting fact, which is that not even Roy Hodgson, when he was the manager of Liverpool, won only 1 game in 7. So as much as I said, it's stupid, it's dumb to sack a manager after he won you the Premier League, I don't think many managers who won the Premier League go on in the next season and have runs like this. So for me, this is now time for Arne Slot. I think the title pressure is off. So you will not be seeing me go in as hard as on Liverpool, especially on this program, as I have in the past. Obviously, I'm going to analyze, go across the league, who's in the most under pressure, of course. but I'm not going to be gunning for their heads as much as I have in the past, because the title pressure is over, and title pressure is a big part of under pressure for me. But now is a chance, I think, for Slot. He's going to have to turn this ship around. He's got a very talented group of young players, not just young players, players in their prime, elder statesmen, obviously, you know, Salah and Van Dijk. And this is a squad that was expected to win the Premier League. This is a very talented team. With the pressure off now, he needs to start, you know, stringing some wins together. But the first thing he needs to do is stop the rot. And when I say stop the rot, I don't just mean beating Nottingham Forest this weekend. That would be a good start. But what he needs to do really to put this pressure behind him, right, is the following weekend. But I believe they got West Ham away. Go beat West Ham. Then they've got Sunderland at home. Like, Sunderland just beat Arsenal. Sunderland have gone to the bridge and gotten points. That's not going to be easy, but you know, Liverpool can go and beat Sunderland at Anfield. They've gone there. You got 3 wins on the bounce. What's the 15? The match week 15 game? It is Leeds. Okay, then you go Ellen Road, right? You can go 4 on the bounce. So, you know, then you have Brighton. Go get a win there. Like the fixtures now for them are, I think, a lot more manageable with the pressure off. I think he should be more free-flowing. Now, they got some injury issues again, so he came out in his press conference yesterday. There will be players missing. Well, let me take a look at... I know for sure that Florian Wirtz is going to be out. I know for sure that Connor Bradley is going to be out. Let's take a look at this list for Liverpool this weekend. They have got... Okay. Jeremy Frimpong has been out. So yeah, look, there are a few injuries going on here, but they should be able to beat Nottingham Forest. Now, Sean Dyche Nottingham Forest is going to be a bit more stubborn and a bit more tough to beat. Remember, Nottingham Forest actually got a win at Anfield last season, in the year that Liverpool actually won the league. So it's not going to say that it's going to be an easy foregone conclusion, but let's go one game at a time. Let's start off by beating Forest. Does that take the pressure off Slot? Probably off my list, but in general, in terms of him being able to just like calm down the Liverpool fan base, get them back to business, get them sort of just, you know, showing a little bit more consistency in the season from now on with the pressure off. And maybe, who knows, you know, Arsenal and City may not be as perfect as we all assume. And all of a sudden, you know, you put a 5-6 game winning run together and you're right back in the conversation. So that needs to be able to kind of give them the best chance. Slot needs to just breathe some more confidence back in, earn the trust back of the Liverpool fan base. And at the moment, I think he's under pressure for that. Now, as I said, I couldn't have foreseen this. It's actually incredible what has gone on at Liverpool this season. It's beyond even what I thought. Like, for me, I was more like, I didn't think that the wheels would fall off like this. I was just more to see, like, I just felt like Arsenal had a better squad to test time. I didn't really feel like that Isak necessarily was a great fit for them. But not saying that Isak wasn't going to produce eventually. I mean, this is ridiculous how long it's taken that. And of course, he's been injured. So take that into consideration. But yes, Arne Slot is the manager that I have under pressure. Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments section below. Let's move on to the player that I have under pressure. And a lot of you guys are going to get surprised by the player that I put on here. And it's Antoine Semenyo. And I'm not saying, by the way, that performance-wise this guy is under any pressure. Like, he's been one of the best players this season. Remember, Erling Haaland has been under pressure lists for the reasons of, like, he's carrying Man City. Now here's the thing about Semenyo. This has got nothing to do with Bournemouth, because I feel like he has been the absolute star man for them. He has carried them. He has been phenomenal. He has raised his game to the next level. But the reports start coming out now. And that is that he has a £65 million release clause in his contract that is valid for a couple weeks in January. And Now all the Sharks are circling. Liverpool has been heavily linked. Manchester United has been heavily linked. Arsenal's been heavily linked. There are a few other ones, but those are the main ones that were being discussed. And for me, this is why he's under pressure. Because I'm not a big fan of news articles like that coming out. And I feel like it puts pressure on him amongst the Bournemouth fan base. So, like, I don't know what the Bournemouth players think. We don't know what is going on with Semenyo, if he actually wants to make the move. And I think sometimes that the reports do more harm than good, especially when we're not even in that window yet. Now, what it's going to do is put pressure on his performance. So we're already seeing his manager, Areola, come out yesterday in the press conference and say that, he's got a little bit of an injury and there's questions of if he'll play against Villa. So again, this isn't necessarily he's under pressure necessarily this week. If he misses out against Villa, but he's going to have to show fitness. He's going to have to continue that run of form, because there are two sides to this thing here. The ability to maintain that performance level where the teams are interested in him. Because let's say this, like, he had a really good season last year. I didn't really know who he was prior to that. And he taken his game to the next level. After the first 11 games this season, behind Haaland, he's been the best player in the league. And Bournemouth has been performing way above expectation. Now, I will say this. Over recent weeks, the Bournemouth form has dropped. I mean, look, they got spanked by City, and then, they got spanked by Villa, like 4-0. And if you kind of look here at Semenyo's stats here, they've been spectacular. And all of a sudden, SofaScore has him as a 6.4 against City, that's 5.4 against Villa. By the way, 7.4. So he's dropping down by 1 player rating per match recently. So his form has been off the dropping a little bit recently. And there's many different aspects to this. I just think there's the needing to maintain the performance to keep those clubs interested, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity if he gets that move. The other thing would be how the fans of Bournemouth receive that, and if that changes sort of the vibes at Bournemouth, or the vibes in regards to Semenyo. Is it going to be a little bit of a begging situation where they're going to start asking, begging him to stay, and you're going to have to, that's going to sort of take over all the background? That becomes a distraction for the locker room. How do the players feel? And of course, some of these players go, you know what? If I was in his shoes and I had the chance to move to a Liverpool or an Arsenal, or, maybe I would jump at that opportunity. But at the same time, maybe some of them are like, you know what, this guy doesn't even want to be here. Bin his guy. And it can start to sour relationships. I don't know. I'm just speculating overall here. But I think that Semenyo, now that the spotlight has been put on him, I feel like he is going to be under pressure, at least until January. The questions are going to come out from the media every single week at the press conference to Areola. They're going to ask, questions about Semenyo and the links to they're leaving elsewhere, and they're going to have to answer all those questions. And then he's going to get asked those questions. And, it's just a whole media storm. And that's why I don't necessarily love when transfer journalists get involved at this point. I got to say, I did videos a couple months back with Cal on Fire Them Cans. By the way, hit the QR code. We're talking about Yildiz and Semenyo as potential January targets. And look, I think overall, I said if I was, I don't believe that Arsenal's actually going to go after them, because I think the squad's pretty damn stacked. But I just think that Semenyo's having such a good season at Bournemouth. Going and changing to clubs mid-season sort of changes a lot. For me, if I was Semenyo, I would stay throughout the rest of the season. And when people go, oh, what if he could because of an injury? What if his form drops off? I mean, what if his form drops off now? So now, I don't know, there's just so many complex layers to this. I just don't love it. I love the transfer window. I love it in the summer because in the summer, I think it's free for all. In the January window, it's a bit distracting, but I get it. Teams are trying to reinforce. But when we're in play and the window is not open and we start these sort of rumors, especially if they're within the league. So it's Semenyo doesn't believe in Bournemouth, even though he's been carrying them. Let's jump ship. Let's go join Arsenal. You say Arsenal, of course. Love Arsenal. And let's win a title. I get the ambition, and I get that, from the opposite side. I'm not saying, by the way, from the opposite side, I think he's a great player, be a great addition to any of the big top clubs. I think he's ready for that leap. But the pressure is on now for Semenyo to maintain that form. Maintain that form, be a professional, get yourself to January and see what happens. But already you got that injury thing coming up. That he's got an injury that he picked up on international duty, apparently. Or apparently he had it even beforehand. So let's say he plays through the injury, because he's trying to get himself that move, and then he gets injured again. £65 million release clause, whatever. I'm not buying a player that's hurt. So there's a lot of pressure to be perfect, I think, a little bit. He's done great. And I by the way, none of this is Semenyo's fault. I blame guys like Indy Kalia, who, by the way, have been talking about this for weeks, and I think a lot of people have ignored them. But then when David Ornstein dropped the bomba, all of a sudden, everyone's talking about it. Everybody's thinking about what it would be like to add Semenyo into their team. But he's got a team now, and that's AFC Bournemouth. And he's going to have to play there for at least another month or so before the window opens. So let's see, because how does this affect Bournemouth? I said I don't think it's got anything to do with the pitch, but I think, how does this affect Bournemouth? Let's see, because, I kind of felt like it would have been best. I love talking about players who are not from the big clubs, and I can just big them up. And I think they're having great seasons. It's good to see guys like that, And I think, by the way, this is off the under pressure topic, but for me, I was thinking about it today. Doesn't it kind of ruin the product of the league a little bit if every good player that plays for a mid-table to lower table side goes to one of the top 6 sides? We're going to start to become a little bit like the Bundesliga. Like the top sides don't need to take all of the play. We need some competitive balance a little bit. I mean, think about it. Burmo left Brentford. Cunha left Wolves, to both of them went to United. Eze left Palace to go to Arsenal. There are a few of these ones. Wissa left to go to Newcastle from Brentford as well. A few of these teams are kind of making these little moves up to the bigger clubs. And look, while for the bigger clubs, it makes sense, because let's get ourselves a Premier League proven guy. Doesn't need to do much adjustment. But I just think from the competitive overall product of the league, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong way. Maybe it's just a supply line. These clubs know, look, I'm going to go and try to unearth a talent that nobody's looking at, that has been overlooked. I'm going to take him into my club. Semenyo goes, I'm going to find another Semenyo. But in the middle of the season, I think that sort of kind of undermines and derails the product of the league a little bit. Because I think Bournemouth have been a team that's been pushing the top parts of the league this year. And, Semenyo goes, that goes down the tank. For me. I mean, if you look at that Bournemouth team, I mean, outside of Semenyo, there's not many players that I love. Look, they already lost, Ouattara as well. They lost Hoyson. They lost, the Ukrainian defender that went, I believe, to PSG. Am I right? Zabarny. Is it Zabarny? No. Ilya. Yeah, Ilya. I think Ilya Zabarny, right? Yeah, it's just, but at least those are going to abroad. I think you're just saturating sort of the market, the league, the talent pool, all playing for the big teams. I don't know. I don't know. It's so funny because I was like talking about Semenyo and his potential to play for bigger clubs a few weeks ago, but now that the news have actually kind of dropped and it's a January thing, I don't know. I'm not kind of really excited for this, even if it's to Arsenal. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know Arsenal's one of the clubs pursuing him apparently, and apparently we're his preferred destination because he's an Arsenal fan. But I'm taking my Arsenal hat off a little bit and kind of just looking at it from, as the person who covers the league, it's been fun covering Semenyo in a Bournemouth shirt. Does him having to adjust and go to a team and find a new role, that kind of throw that off? Is it as exciting? I don't know. I mean, I think maybe deep down that's a little bit one of the reasons why I didn't like to see Alexander Isak leave Newcastle and go to Liverpool. I mean, I enjoyed watching Alexander Isak play for Newcastle. I think it gave them it was just, you have some of your stars spread across the league. Like even Eze, I was super excited to get Eze to Arsenal because obviously I'm hungry for a title. But Eze with Palace was box office. It gave people, put eyes on Crystal Palace. This puts eyes on Bournemouth. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that whole conversation in the comments section below about Semenyo. Do you believe he's under pressure to maintain the form that he's on so that he can actually make that move materialize? Do you think he's under pressure, in terms of the storyline being hanging over his head now for the next month and a week, but 5 weeks or so until the new year? Let's see. And again, who do you think, by the way, do you think that Semenyo should stay at Bournemouth? Do you think he should join Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, whatever, whoever is in that top part, the teams that might have been chasing him, top part of the league? Let's see. Moving on now to the team that's under pressure. And this one's not an easy one for me. And again, coming out of the international break, and it's Arsenal. And you see, for the first time this season, I have put a player on that graphic. Now, I want to make something very clear because this is very clickbaity for me to put Gabriel on there. My personal opinion, and by the way, I love Gabriel. I think he's been one of our best players this season. I think he's the best center back in the world right now. And I think the second best is Saliba. 1A or 1B. I think they're actually both of them are elite. And he's very important to us from set pieces. He's the leader at the back. The partnership that he's developed, he's been the best defender in the league this season, potentially even in the world so far this season. He's been our rock. But do I think his absence completely derails our season? No. Because number one, it's 1 or 2 months. And as I said, all of a sudden now, this 1 or 2 months is different than the previous 1 or 2 months because there's way more games. Like, you're taking you into January now, to the second half of the season. And, we got some huge games. We got Spurs the weekend. We got Chelsea. We're going to have Villa not long after that. So, and that Christmas period, it's going to be important. But we brought in Pierre Nkapie. We brought in, Christian Mosquera. That ad really solidified that depth in the defensive areas. I'm excited to see Nkapie get a run of games. I'm not going to lie. Everyone knows, it's no secret that I'm a big Pierre Nkapie fan. Maybe this is a chance for Miles Lewis-Skelly, maybe. Like on the opposite end, right? Before I'll tell you why Arsenal's under pressure, I'm just going to address the Gabriel part and, Arsenal deal with it. I think you can also make an argument that for players that are under pressure, being Miles Lewis-Skelly, I wouldn't say quite Claude Fleur because he's had to start. Miles Lewis-Skelly, Pierre Nkapie. One of those players, Christian Mosquera as well, I'll add that. One of those players is going to have a chance to really put together a long run of games now and maybe make it so that when let's imagine we get to January and let's say Pierre Nkapie is the guy here and he really takes that by storm. And we might be asking, like, okay, Gabriel's coming back, right? But do we force him back into the lineup? Because, you know, Hincapié and Saliba's got something going on here. Calafiori and Saliba have got something going on here, you know. Lewis Skelly has been back to playing really well at left back with one of Calafiori or Hincapié in at left center back. So this is a chance really for one of those players to make a claim to that now vacancy in the back four. And so I think, you know, the first player who's going to get their chance will obviously be on the starting sheet for Tottenham, but that player is going to perform, because if not, there are a couple guys I can name afterwards that be gunning for that spot if they don't perform. So that's interesting. But the narrative behind Gabriel, now we'll get to the Arsenal under pressure part, it's been like, oh wow, the wheels are falling off now. You know, they draw against Sunderland last time. You know, the City had that comprehensive victory, and all of a sudden the talk has been, you know, Man City are the experienced ones. You know, a lot of my fellow Arsenal fans, and speaking with a little bit less chest, the confidence in the voice is starting to drop out. Now, for me, I don't know why. I think it's just PTSD, a bit of overreaction. Like, I'm all calm here until Arsenal show to me that things are actually going bad, until I have some actual evidence that Arsenal are in trouble on the pitch, and the performances are dropping off, or losing games, or we're starting to, you know, drop into some, you know, and we fall into second or something like that, or City come really close. Like, I'll tell you, if City win this week and Arsenal lose to Spurs and it's a 1-point gap, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to coming on with so much chest. It's still have a little bit confidence, but that puts a lot of pressure again next week on the Stamford Bridge game. And here is where I get to as well. I think there's a lot of pressure now here on Arsenal on this North London derby. Number one, I have no idea who's fit for Arsenal. So, again, we're going to go back to injury lists, and Arteta didn't do me many favors yesterday in the press conference. But of course, we know Gabriel is going to be out. There are injury doubts regarding Victor Gyökeres. That's been going around whether he'd be back. So we were kind of told, and I have been running with this on all the podcasts as part of my confidence as to why Arsenal's even going to have levels to go up. I was like, you know, Kai Havertz, Noni Madueke, Odegaard, Jesus, Martinelli, Gyökeres, all going to be coming back. Now reports are like surfacing that maybe some of them might be in a week or so, maybe in 2 weeks, maybe at the end of the year. Kai Havertz apparently has had some sort of injury setback. Maybe we might not see Kai Havertz till the end of December, maybe January now, which is insane. None of that has really been fully confirmed, by the way. Maybe it has, but I maybe by Fabrizio or something. But I got a setback for Kai Havertz. Then, of course, we also had Calafiori, who, you know, had to come home from international duty. Arteta sort of saying, like, you know, he hasn't really trained yet. We're going to do fitness tests tomorrow. We're seeing pictures of Jesus in training, and it's made me think, oh, is Jesus going to feature this weekend? There's news coming in that Odegaard is trained and he's ready and able to go. You know, people are saying that Martinelli trained. People are saying, you know, Marty Madueke actually just tweeted not long before I went on air today saying, I'm back. Or, you know, what was the Noni Madueke tweet that he said? The cryptic message that he sent him. By the way, all this stuff is all very saying much better. That's the emoji. And yeah, so I just don't know who's going to be starting for Arsenal. But regardless of who is starting, I need us to win. And this is the why. Number one, I have no idea what Man City is going to be doing on the Saturday late kickoff against Newcastle. And we're going to get into that in a separate video. But let's say Man City win against Newcastle. All of a sudden, it's down to 1. Arsenal have got to beat Tottenham to maintain that 4-point gap. For me, 3 points, by the way, I reckon is the minimum I'm feeling comfortable with a lead in the league before I start to get a little bit worried. I'm confident that Arsenal are going to show you the business, depending on who is fit. Regardless, I still expect us, even if all those players aren't available. Let's say worst case scenario, Carl Fiore doesn't make it. So you got Nkapie and Lewis Skelly probably starting. You know, up front, you're probably going to have Trossard, Moreno, and Saka with Eze at the 10. I still expect that team to go ahead and beat Spurs. Now, is it going to be comprehensive? No. If I have a Noni Madueke or a Gabriel Jesus or a Martin Odegaard, say Calafiore's fit, like Martinelli is available. I don't know, like just spitballing some names here. Gyökeres is available, which will be amazing, right? Then I'm feeling good about the Tottenham game. But regardless, I'm rambling on a little bit. We must win. First of all, it's never good losing to that mob. It's never good losing to that mob. But for me, the Arteta outers, and this is the real point here, the Arteta outers are peeking around the corner to start coming out and having real reasons to start going after the manager and the players. And by the way, my message to those type of people is if you're a real Arsenal fan, whether you like the manager or not, creating negative vibes around the club and being proactive in creating negative vibes of the club is very questionable behavior. Because if you actually want to win this fucking league, if you're an actual fan of Arsenal, you want to see them win the league, whether you're in or out. I've spoken to plenty of Arteta outers. Plenty of ones with their heads screwed on still be like, I want to be wrong. But there are many of them who just want to be right. And that's a bit toxic. So that I will say. But that pressure is going to start to ramp up. But I already can see just off of the draw, rival fans starting to change the narrative because of the draw. Imagine if, City pull closer and then all the talk and all the pressure and all this stuff. I think Arsenal, what we got to do is beat Tottenham and calm everything down. Like, I know we got Bayern and Chelsea, but we got to play this Tottenham game first. And, you get the Tottenham game out of the way. Let's see who's available for Bayern. Let's see who's available for Chelsea. We'll take those one games at a time. But you don't want to pressurize those games. You lose to Spurs, it's one game. I know, whatever. Even in the Champions League, we just lost in the Prem. We've drawn in the Prem right before that. The last two, we haven't won in 2 now at that point. Bayern come to town, and even though it's in the Champions League, we need that win just to get some wind back into our sails now. So all of a sudden, we've got some players who might be coming back, players who were in the red zone, whoever, who were so many options to rotate, and we're putting them under pressure to come up with the big performances, and that can make things work. And then you head into the next weekend where you got Chelsea away from home, and you can't even afford to draw in that game at that point. So it's time. Arsenal got to win this. Avoid that. I want to avoid that altogether. You win this one, there's less pressure on that next Chelsea game. You never know. Like, the other side of this is, let's say City drop points, and all of a sudden you have an amazing opportunity to capitalize and get that lead back out again and start to take command again. And I can go back on all the shows, which I have anyway, and tell everybody, look, look at you guys have no faith. You guys are all waiting to shit on us, and this team is not like your previous Arsenal teams. This team is serious. I am not taking excuses as players are out for this game. This is Tottenham Hotspur. And not to mention the fact that losing to Tottenham Hotspur or drawing to Tottenham Hotspur would just absolutely suck. I want to beat them. And I see a lot of people trying to bait us to Arsenal. Terry has this saying about the football gods, right? Like, a lot of people, sometimes everybody comes at it with chest. Oh, we're going to destroy this team. And generally what happens is the opposite. But I feel like it's a little bit forced this time. Like, I'm not coming out and go, oh, we're going to destroy Spurs. It's going to be demolition. No, I think Spurs are a good team. Thomas Frank is going to come out. He's going to be defensive. I think it's going to be a derby. They're going to give their all. Do I expect Arsenal to win? Of course. But there are a lot of fans doing too much. I expect this is going to be a comprehensive victory. And then quoting me about the squad and all that stuff. You know, Arsenal, blah blah blah, best this. They should destroy them, and it's they're trying too much. But I'm proud a little bit of my football club, of the fans of my club. Now, Piers Morgan said 5-0. Whatever. And if we win 5-0, fucking brilliant. But, you know, a lot of us, you know, I think it's good. I think it's good that maybe we're coming at this on the back of that Sunderland draw, on the back of having to go through 2 weeks of crap, on the back of having to read the Gabriel stories, or Arsenal, the wheels falling off. You know, is the wobble coming? All that stuff. I think that can be good for us because there's a chance to, as a playing group, find that inner motivation to take us to the next level. So I have put Arsenal under pressure to win this game because I think it is. I think now is a chance really to show everybody that we're different, to not allow that narrative to start going in the way of Manchester City, to start going in the negative direction. Let's avoid that. Let's nip it in the bud. Let's show that we're different than teams like Liverpool when, you know, first sign of you know, trouble, and all of a sudden the ship sank. Not for my club. Now this season, let's go back to the times we've dropped points. We lost to Liverpool in the league. The very next game, we go, I think it was also after the international break. We played Nottingham Forest at home. We won 3-0. Comprehensive. Good response. The other one, the draw against City, was responded to by a massive win at Newcastle, which began a huge winning run. And without and then we started not conceding for a very long time. And, you know, up to that run leading up to the Sunderland game. So far, so good this season. This is the next time, you know. Let's respond. Let's show the character. Let's go. We're at home against Tottenham. That's enough motivation as it is. And that has been my under pressure list this week. Guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Are Arsenal under pressure? You know? Is it a must-win game for the Gunners? Must they win this North London derby to maintain control in the Premier League? Because, you know, after that, you say, you know, you still got to go away to Chelsea. You still got to go away to Villa. You got Brentford coming to the Emirates. We got some midweek games. Boy, are the content on Hotsport going to have to turn around. And on Fire Them Cannons will be pumping out all the time with midweek Premier League games. So I'm actually looking forward to the challenge as a content creator actually this year. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this whole list in the comment section below. Do you agree? Arne Slot, is he under pressure? Have the reports put Antoine Semenyo now under pressure now in all sorts of different ways? And do Arsenal must beat Spurs this weekend, guys? Anyway, hit the like button, make sure you're subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video. Anton out.